that interested me so much about all these, we didn't call them boogeymen, but you named somebody and he was the bad man to scare somebody. And in Tennessee, over about where it joins Kentucky, close to where Lincoln Memorial University is, right in that area, there's a whole long valley, about 50, 60 miles, where you find people, and they'll say clavers will get you to the children. And later, as I began to do research, I figured out what that was. That is Lord Claverhouse from the Battle of the Bourne in 1690 in the north of Ireland. And they are still afraid of him. See, that before the Scotch-Irish people left the north of Ireland, they were saying, you know, Claverhouse will get you.
Well, we have a name
and then it became that
like
here.
That around here.
Clavers. And that's somewhere, you know, that's 300 and something years to survive, longer than that, I guess.
Well, if you all, what's the name?
I don't want it on.
Oh, okay. You want my glasses took off? Oh,
she could trade places with Sean.
I'll trade.
Well,
The light's reflecting on your glasses. You can see your eyes.
this, they call him Bad Amos, but he really didn't do anything bad. I intend to write a whole book about Bad Amos, and we called him Little Amos.
So they were heroes, weren't they, the bad people, because they did protect their area, right? They were like the
A protector for their people.
protectors, but they,
Oh,
they
yeah.
were outlaws.
When I was little, you know, I had Uncle Matt was our bad man. And if somebody done something to me, I was going to tell Uncle Matt on him. He'll make you be good to me.
Was he your real uncle?
And he wasn't called Bad Matt, but he was the bad man in our family.
They scared me with Becky Booger when I was growing up. My granny always said, Becky Booger's going to come and get you. Did y'all have boogers or favorite? Did you ever hear Becky Booger?
No.
Did you? Well, what are boogers? What do you think a booger is?
Well, there's 4 or 5 different boogers. One is these little things that gets on your head and your hair. And one's just gets in your nose. And then a booger is, well, he's a devil.
yeah, sort of.
The devil is called a booger, and any kind of a big bear or something that's not real is a booger.
But you had boogers when you was little.
But most of the time they named the name. Even if they couldn't remember, even if the name didn't make sense anymore, like Clavers over in East Tennessee, where they've forgotten that was Claverhouse and that was a battle long ago in Ireland, but they remembered that Clavers will get the little children, and the kids were scared.
We still have the name like Lady Margaret, Lady Rose. We really mean lady.
Right.
We don't name their kids. You probably know Lady Margaret.
I've heard of them.
And they pronounce lady, they pronounce it lady.
Is that from old? You think that's from old songs?
And then they remembered, maybe they worked for Lady Margaret before they came over here.
And so they remembered it, brought it out as a family name. Do you know any booger stories? Either one of y'all, any of y'all?
I can tell you one that they tell in my husband's family. All these men around in this community had a little shack down over in the holler, away from everybody's, where they went to play poker and drink their liquor. And every Saturday night they'd gather in there to play cards, and they'd have their big gallon of moonshine sitting there. And one night they was playing away, way about midnight, and there's some man drove up riding a big, fine black horse. People around here rode mules, rode skinny rub-on horses, and this one was a real pretty one. He was dressed all up, black hair, and just a real handsome man. And he come clumping in there and sat down and asked them, could he play? And they said, yeah. So he sat in and he drank their whiskey, and he's just playing, winning every bit of their money. And so one of them dropped a card and stooped down to get it, and he looked in there, he didn't have feet, he had hoofs. And so that scared him. We'd always been, it was the devil. So they all took out through the door just as fast as they could go, and as they went, they turned over the lamp, and it set the house afire. And they'd run out of sight, and so as they went out of sight, they could hear this man just a laughing, just to beat everything. And next morning, some of them got, brave enough. They went back down there to see. House all burnt down, and all the money was burnt up except the silver money, and it had melted and formed in the form of a cross. so they didn't play poker no more for a while.
Well, you heard that story about this guy dying, and they always having his funeral that night. And when they all got up, some man got up to preach, and they said that when they did, there was the devil looked through the window. And they said he had looked like a big gorilla with old big red eyes, and looked in, just looked in, right over where his casket was set. And they said his family fainted, all of them were running, get away. And the next morning they went back, his brother or someone did, and they said that this devil was under his coffin. And they never could have his funeral. You heard that, ain't you? And after they buried him, this is some big tale. And after they buried him in the graveyard where they buried him, that every time some man would go by with a big load of moonshine on their horses, they said somebody'd take it, and they never could find it. He must still be drinking. I've heard that told. I don't know.
Well, one of my great aunts, I just know little short stories, they're not too long. One of my great aunts, she was a real mean, hateful woman. And they always called her Hale Owens. Have you heard of Hale Owens?
I believe I have.
Every time I took a tantrum when I was little, my father would say, "Yep, that's the Hale Owens coming out in." Well, she was real mean, and she just talked about her neighbors and just so mean to them that nobody liked her. And she said, she told them, she said, "When I die, I want you to take my tongue and cut it out and nail it to the gatepost so I can flop my tongue at everybody that passes." And when she died, her tongue come way out and hung way down like that and turned black as it could be, and they couldn't get it back in her mouth at all. They had to bury her that way.
I like that one.
That's good.
Y'all have any stories about people, funny things happening when new inventions came through, like running water or electricity or things like that? You have any?
Yeah, well, it's plenty of people, where we live, like I was telling that story a while ago, where they never see these electricity, lights, which I didn't see them, the lights gone, and a bunch of them went out there. I think it's in Michigan, and they rented this place, and they got up there, and that night, that guy went up there to see, well, why in the world are they keeping their lights on? And then they want to go up and find out, and they was going to run around and try and blow that light down. And it was talk. Now, there was people, I could mention names, that they really thought that electricity would come out in the house.
Yeah, they'd stuff stuff in the.
What they done, they put fuse plugs in there and blowed the whole thing. They didn't know and then a lot of them thought that the washing machine, you see when they were washing, they thought, well, now he'd get them clean, but they thought when it started raining, they'd unplug it, and there's something wrong with the washing machine. The dealer had to go back to a bunch of them, and that's why
Plug it in.
unplugging it, because they thought it was supposed to without the electric in it. People so used to washing the boards and stuff like that, well, they didn't
Didn't know anything about it.
understand it. I don't. There's so much today, I tell you put me out there, there's so much today, I'd still be in the greens of gold.
Well, technology is moving so fast.
Yeah.
I remember when, I can remember this, it was 1948, and we got running water in the north end of the village where I was living in Chatsworth, Georgia. And my grandmother and her sisters owned the little houses on the street, and they put the plumbing in all of them, but it was up to the tenant to decide whether or not they were going to have pay the water bill, because each house already had a well. And there was this old couple named Mr. and Miss Virgil Hollis, and Virgil said, hell no, said Estelle didn't hardly do nothing no way, and he wasn't going to pay for something good that was supposed to be free like water. And so all the houses on Locust Street had running water except Estelle's. And she was just not right bright anyway. And so she would come into your house, and she'd go in your yard first and turn on the yard spigot and watch it run, and she'd be just a swirling. She'd turn that off, and she'd come on in the house, and she'd turn on your house spigot in your kitchen, and there wasn't anybody in the bathroom, she'd do that too. And then she'd go on to the next house, and she'd go all around all 7 little houses and wind up the 7th would be hers, and she'd turn on her yard spigot and nothing would happen, and she'd just be so disappointed. And finally Virgil had to pay the water bill because nobody could explain to Estelle why her water didn't work.
Well, a lot of people, where they was used to, have to carry the water like that, I used to go places, be sitting in the doctor's office, there'd be people I'd know there, and I'd start griping around, you know, oh, I have lost this time there wasn't carrying my water. And I said, well, I got running water. And they'd say, boy, you're lucky. I said, no, I'm not. And they'd say, well, why? I'd say, I have to run and get it.
It's like having a hard road.
Yeah.
You've got hard roads, there's hard roads traveled.
Yeah, then there's up there a bunch of them, and that lived down here. They went up Michigan, different places like that, and just run around wanting a drink. Where's the spring at? I told them go in there, and they come back, and they said, did you get any water? And I said, somebody dirtied it. I didn't know what a spring was.
Well.
How do y'all go about remembering all your stories? Do you ever think of some story you heard when you were small? I know that you want to remember, and is there some way that you are able to remember it, something that you do?
Well, like I say, in our family, it was more poems. My father, anybody that did something funny or something unique, he'd make a little rhyme, a little poem about it. And then we'd sit around the fire, or even when we went to milk, or at any time that we had a spare moment. And we'd tell our kids, or when we were little, our folks would tell us. But it was more, in our family, it was more poems than it was.
Do you remember any of those poems?
Not right off the top of my head.
You told one about a preacher giving out a song, and you and Florida sort of told it together.
Yeah.
That story. What was that? Could you tell that again?
You tell that in Florida.
You did it together last time, and I
You
feel
tell
like
it,
both of
Verna
you
Mae, you do a good job.
worked it out.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we give our songs out. If you're reading some book, they call it lining it, but we call it giving them out. And one, we don't sing in harmony, we just all sing lead. And this preacher, he couldn't hear very well, and he couldn't see very well, so he got up in front, and we didn't have any song books, so he said, I'm getting old, I cannot see, and I didn't bring my specs with me. Well, it rhymed, so they sang it. He said,
You sing it, Florida. She said you sing it out, okay?
Made blind, make a see, May didn't bring my specs with me.
I'll give you that.
That's
You
great.
sing. So then he said, I did not give that out to sing. I only said my eyes were dim.
I can remember that.
And then he
He
said,
sang it good.
I did not give that out at all. I believe the devil's in you all. They sang that. He said, what was the last he said? He said,
Said, May going home.
yeah.
Jumped up and left me.
Well, that's one preacher they got rid of.
Yeah, there was a guy way back at called Firefighting Jim. I don't know him. He's a real old guy. Way back. Now, you may have heard of him, have you, Verna Mae?
I think so.
And they said through accident, now he was really a good preacher and a good man, but through accident, you see, he just get carried away with him. Well, this old woman, she wore an apron. And so she had her apron up, you know, wiping her eyes where she'd been crying. Well, he got his handker out, talking to somebody right beside of him, you know. And he grabbed back and dropped his handker, and he just crowned her apron right down in his pocket. She was a little woman, and when he whirled around, he threw her floor across the table.
His apron with the strings hanging out.
He went right all
That's
preaching.
really true.
They said it was the truth. I've heard it for the truth. And they said he just went right on, you know, preaching. And that little lady, she went flung across the stand.
Just got flung out and
Yeah. Well, they are some of them. They get carried away. Some of them get up there and preach, you know. They get started. I'm telling you, they preach with them for hours.
You know that one about the hornets getting in the feller's pants?
No.
He was up preaching, and you know they had their church out under the trees, and he got stomping around, and there's a lot of hornets went up his britches leg. And he was preaching, you know, he said, there may be salvation in my soul, but said they hell and damnation in my pants. I might should have told that.
yes, so. I forgot the questions now, Angie.
I was asking about how you go about remembering stories was one thing. I know you've got a nice way of remembering stories.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess it's just because I get so dim on them. It's been so long since. What I try to do is remember it in the voice of the person that told it to me. And lots of times, if you just get real still, I get in my rocking chair. I do love good rocking chair, and I just get absolutely quiet, which is hard to do at my house. But when things thin out and I get absolutely quiet, and I try to hear the voice of the person who was telling it, and just let it come to me in their voice then.
Yeah.
And like what you're doing, you're saying that your daddy's rhymes, or they're kind of tags and keys to memories. And what you were doing with lining out the song, there'll be a spoken part of the story I'm trying to remember, a way they said a certain line or a verse, and if I can get that and get their voice in my ear like I was hearing it again, then I can usually get the rest of the story in memory.
I sit around and make poems and rhymes and riddles and stuff like that, but I'm not able to write them down. I can write them down, but nobody else can read them because I don't have no education myself.
Well, she's not got any formal education.
No.
She's got an education.
It sounds to me like she's doing pretty well. I think you should write them down, and I think you should tell all these things. Put them on tape for your grandchildren,
I
Florida,
got
because you're
tapes, I
just a
make
treasure.
tapes of them, and my children, they love them. And
Well, they should love them.
My daughter that lives in Louisville, she's sent a lot of them off overseas to a lot of their relatives and things. They really love them. And I just love
Well, I'm backwards from you. I can write them when I can't tell them. I can do better by writing them than I can
like
tell
the
them.
poem I made up myself was just short poems, you know. I don't make real big long ones, and I make songs and stuff like that. One I remember real good was about an old sow who lived in the pen. She couldn't get out and she couldn't get in. Till one morning, her big surprise, 10 little pigs flew in the farmer's eyes. Then the farmer tore down the pen. The old sow lived happy with the piggies at 10. Now you may think they didn't have any sense, but they played all day through the hole in the fence. You know how little pigs and run backwards and forwards. And then I made a song about the boys, you know, when they were little. I've got songs about different. Well,
You remember that one about the bird that was on the tape?
Yeah.
I like that. Do that.
You do? The red
Bird.
cardinal bird. Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's see. If I can think.
Well, tell about how the story that before that had come to your window.
Oh yeah, they was before I made this song. They was the red bird, and he'd come and sit on the windowsill on the kitchen. If I was in the kitchen or washing dishes, he'd come and sit there and talk just like I'd talk to him, and he'd act like he's wanting to talk to me. And I'd go to my living room, he'd follow me in there. And I'd go to my bedroom and follow me in there. And the very minute that any of the children or anybody come, he'd leave. And then the last time I seen him, why he brought a mate with him, and I never seen him anymore. But in memories, I can still see him yet from that window. And I'll sing it if I can think of it this evening. The wind that blows and the rain it falls makes me think of the little cardinal bird's calls. He come and sit on my windowsill, the songs he would sing, you could hear over the hills. Till one day he brought a maid, they both sung as if their hearts would break. I know it's hard to believe that a little cardinal bird would sing to me. He sung a song I wish I could hear, a beautiful song of a little cardinal bird. When I leave this world and I go on, I hope to know the words to the little cardinal bird song.
That's beautiful. Isn't that beautiful?
I make little funny things. I can't make anything that's... And
Well, you know, well, you heard me sing that and I had dreamt, didn't you? Well, I dreamt another one besides that, and I don't know what I could remember hearing now, but it was beautiful. But there's a lot of this I've been so busy this summer and stayed out in the sun so long. But I got a lot of songs. If I had them all put together and practiced up on them, I could have as
We
much.
put you on TV.
I was up there this morning and fell down with me.
You keep losing weight, you
and she put me on.
Well, if you want to, I'll say one of my little poems that I make. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just little silly things. It's Saturday night and I can't sleep. Been counting cars instead of sheep. I watched TV as long as it was on. This night's already been 2 days long. I laid down on my left side, turned over on my right, because this bed gets harder on Saturday night. I hear a car coming and I strain every nerve until it makes it around that curve. I let my breath out in a great big sigh. One by one, they pass on by. Then I hear a car coming. This one I don't have to see, because it comes in and stops, just as quiet as can be. I drop off to sleep in the middle of a snore. My teenager son's made it home once more.
Oh, that's good. It really is. We used to, Lawrence Ballard used to come up in there, and he used to try to get the children to go to Sunday school. Everybody believed, no regular Bible school. Well, they know the very minute when he's coming, they'd everyone run, grab a home, and go out to work. Which I believed along with them, but I see where I made my mistake. Children should be in Sunday school. So I made me a song about that. I'd say, you hear that buzzer coming, rumble and roar, see the children running, all heading for the door. They would grab a hold. You could hear them say, we work till our larks leaves again today. Did I say that? But really people, I don't know why people was like that. I was till I had to learn the hard way.
Do you think because you didn't read a lot, didn't have a lot of books, that it helped y'all make up poems and songs?
That's all we had to do. I mean, back in,
Absolutely.
especially